audience participation. Just one person has signed up. J Hodke.
My name's Stephen Joshua Hodke. I'm president and CEO of Marianne Theater Entertainment Corporation. 40 days ago, I dropped off a copy of this here. It's a request for proposal to purchase the Marianne Theater, the owner of a 501c nonprofit corporation. They were wanting to reopen it and repair it, restore it, or whatever, and get it for educational purposes, showing movies in theaters. I would assume at this point, I would hope everyone in this room is aware of this book and has seen it at some point in time. If not, hopefully that can change soon. But first of all, I would just like
what I did is I took the front part of the book, copied it, and distributed it to all of the folks up here. I did not copy all of the bid documents.
All right, cool.
But I did inform them that I have the book if anybody wants to come and take a look at it. And a couple of them have come in to look at it.
First of all, I'd like to commend the city for taking the initiative to purchase the building and get it in safe hands to where it could be restored. But also at the same time, it's been 20-something years, and the building is now in worse condition than it was when you guys took possession of it. Not you guys personally, but the city. And now you've got a building that might be worth the amount of whatever the property is worth that it's sitting on, with $500,000 worth of damages. And I don't personally have the money to restore it. That's why we started the nonprofit, so that we can get state money and donations and other things. And at this point, I'm pretty sure that the city of Bellevue doesn't have the funding to put $500,000 into the building, or else it would be in better condition than it is now. And so you've got a building that's worth the property it's sitting on, and it's got $500,000 worth of damages. I'm sure if you had a homeowner in the city that had a house that was worth $100,000 but had $500,000 worth of damages, they would be getting letters from the city telling them to make repairs and get the building up to code. And right now, the way it sits, every time it rains, every time it snows, there's water getting in the roof. It's wet inside there now, I can guarantee it. It was wet in there yesterday, I can guarantee you. And every time it rains, it just gets a little bit worse. And my fear is that you guys, the city, are gonna wait and wait for the perfect person to come along that has their own business, that has $500,000 to throw at it, and you're waiting for that perfect opportunity that may not ever come. 10 years from now, the building's gonna be in such worse condition than it is now, that it's gonna be bulldozers and cranes coming in to tear it down, and you're gonna miss an opportunity to even hand it back to the citizens, to see if the citizens can throw the money at it that you guys can't afford to. So with that being said, I know now's not the time or place to go in a deep dive with it, but I would appreciate it if you guys could take the time to look at it. All the estimates are in here. I tried to make them as cheap as possible, just the bare bones of what it would take to even get it legally open and operational, whether it's the city that does it, whether it's me that does it, whether it's another person. The very lowest I could go is $500,000 just to get it up to code, to where there's wheelchair accessibility to the bathrooms and things. So we're looking at $500,000 in damages to a building that probably isn't worth the time for the city to put that much into it. But I'm willing to put it on my shoulders and on my name. Worst case scenario, I can sign a contract that if things don't work out through my company, that I'll hand it back to the city after we make whatever repairs we can make, and you guys can take it from there. But the way it sits now, if nobody does anything with this building, it's gonna get bulldozed, and whoever's in the city at the time is gonna be the ones taking the blame for not doing nothing to make the changes happen when they had the chance to make the changes. I'd like to pass these out, my business cards of my company. That's Rob Collins back there. He's the vice president of a company, and I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to speak.
If you don't mind, I have a quick question for you,
Yes,
and
sir.
I can get you back at the mic so you can answer and we can pick it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess, in an ideal world, what would be the amount of time that you would think you would need to raise the sufficient funds to at least show progress on the building? You know, you're talking about, hey, give us a chance. If we can't do it, then we'll hand it back to the city. What does that look like in your mind?
As far as getting 100% repairs done, or just getting the money raised for it?
Maybe both.
To begin with, we need $50,000. I just went to the bank, talked to my financial advisor last year, just off of estimated numbers off the top of my head, because I haven't gotten the green light or any kind of numbers thrown at me from the city. So we estimated purchase the building $150,000. I would need a $50,000 down payment for the loan. And so we started fundraising for that, and we've got financial backers because we're independent filmmakers too, and we've got film companies and stuff. And I believe we could raise the money to get the initial loan within a matter of a month. And then, once we have the building, if it was in our possession, being under 501c3, there's half a dozen or more grants that the building is eligible for as it sits now. Restoration of a marquee, restoration of a Art Deco style theater, restoration of a World War II building. There's multiple grants that are money, hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting in an account that the state has access to, that they're just waiting for someone to ask for. The city can't directly ask for these grants to be given to them, I don't think, at least, or if not, they should have done it a long time ago. So I know that a 501c company is eligible to ask for these donations, these grants. So it's just a matter of filling out the paperwork, sending the grants, and getting that grant money back. And there's a building 3 blocks away from the Marianne down in Dayton that they just bought, and they were approved for a $1.2 million grant to restore a building to put commercial space on the first floor and apartments on the second and third floor. So if they can get a grant for just a commercial space and apartments in a matter of months, I'm pretty sure that we could get the grant money approved within the first 6 months to a year of owning the building, on top of the fundraising. We've got a fundraiser, but we haven't actually pushed it too much because we don't want to start asking people for the $50,000 we need for the loan just to get an X from the city saying, no, we're not going to even sell it to you anyways. But once we knew that that was an option, that it was possible, the city was going to sell us the building if we raised the money, then we could start actually fundraising and get our financial backers. Because we've got people like Las Vegas, LA, New York, all across the country, and different film companies that would throw money at us. But they don't want to throw money at us not knowing whether or not we're even going to have permission to buy the building. Once we know if we even have permission, then we could probably almost instantly get the money.
I think it would be helpful for me, just in the cursory glance in the beginning of the book, I guess, that I hadn't looked through, was sort of a comprehensive financial plan and timeline of, hey, we think that, by day 90, 120, 360, 720, here's going to be the pipeline of, grant financing and work that would be started. Because I think where, at least, I have a little bit of PTSD when I first came on board 4 years ago, right? We had someone come in, right? We backed off any other ability to do anything in the building because we had an agreement in place, and it was in fundraising mode, and it never moved forward. So I think you're on the right track of, hey, there needs to be a timeline established of, hey, give us a chance in X time, why they're do it or we won't. I just need to understand sort of what that is and what that milestone would
As
look
far
like.
as the grants from the state, I've tried to do research on that as far as I can on my end, and I just keep hitting brick walls with that because I've talked to P&G and a bunch of other big corporations, and I've tried calling the state and talking to the departments that have the grants accessible. And when I tell them my story, I'm telling them what I'm trying to do, and they find out that I'm just some guy that's trying to see if the city will give me permission to buy a building, and that's what I need the grant for, is for a building that I don't actually own yet. They all tell me basically the same thing. We're not going to discuss hypotheticals with you of what it takes to fill out forms to get a building or get a grant on a building that you don't own. You get the building in your name, then you can call us back, then we'll tell you what step 1 is in order to apply for this grant. But none of these places want to talk to me about what I need to fill out, what steps I need to take in order to get a grant, because it's a hypothetical situation of someday maybe if the city was to give us a green light. If we knew for a fact the city was going to give us a green light, we could tell these corporations and the state departments that we need to talk to that, yes, we are approved, yes, the city's going to sell it to us or whatever. Now we need to know what forms to fill out, what you want your essay written about, or whatever. Where do we send this email with this grant proposal? But all the departments I've called so far, they basically just stonewall me because I'm a hypothetical situation story, and they don't want to talk hypotheticals on the phone about what's involved to get approved for a grant. So until I know from the city whether it's even an option, I can't get any answers as far as the timeline of grant approval.
Now, just to follow up on the funding, so potential donors, do you all have anything in writing, like signed from potential large donors, anything like that yet?
No, it's just been word of mouth so far.
Okay.
Me and Rob, like I said, we work with a bunch of different film companies, and they all want to have access to be able to do movie showings at the theater and stuff, and they're all definitely on board with it. And like I said, if we could tell them, like, yeah, it's definitely a green light, the city said, yes, they'll sell us the building if we can come up with the funds by X date or whatever, then we could let them know that, yeah. And then, because they want us to succeed because they want to have another place where they can show their movies. We've got, like I said, film companies that we're associated with all across the country, and their movies don't get shown in any theater anywhere on the planet. So if we had the opportunity to show those movies in Bellevue, it'd be something that is very unique that you can't literally go anywhere on the planet and experience. So, I mean, if we knew that we had the approval, then I'm sure we could get the money, but we've kind of been lackadaisical on getting the fundraising because we don't want to get $50,000 that I need to take to the bank for a loan just for the city to be like, nah, it's not a good idea, and then I gotta go and give the $50,000 back or throw some big event or whatever to spend the money for my nonprofit company. I'd rather know that I have approval before I raise the $50,000. It's kind of like, I don't want to get the cart before I get the horse and then find out that I'm never getting the horse. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's why I need you guys to take a time, if you can, and take a look at the book and talk amongst yourself and decide whether or not you're even going to give us an inkling of approval before I can even go any farther. I'm pretty much spinning wheels at this point.
Well, I can tell you that I've been on record saying we need to sell to Marianne, so if somebody comes with a good proposal, I have no problem with turning it over to a private
Yeah,
entity
I
to deal
promised
with.
1,500 people that I'd be here today to talk in their honor, so that's why I'm here. I've got over 350 names in this book. In the back of this book here is signed people's names that support us, people just in the community. Over 350 people just in Bellevue and Dayton, and another 1,500 people on the internet. The last post I sent around when I was trying to raise awareness, it got seen 10,000 times in a matter of 4 days.
And then I'll just be honest with you, from the beginning, when the city purchased it, we didn't intend to hold on to it forever, but we've had several proposals, and honestly, the people didn't have the money to buy it. And that's where the rubber hits the
Yeah.
road, and if someone doesn't have the financial wherewithal to buy it, then we're not gonna enter in a contract to sell something to someone that can improve it.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, that's where we said, well, that's where I said, I can't speak for the other council members here.
Yeah, that's why I say, I know I don't personally have the money, I know the city doesn't personally have the money, and if that's what we're waiting for, is some magical person that's got $500,000 to just dump on a project that they don't know if it's gonna have any kind of return on investment, you might as well just call the bulldozers now, because it's not gonna happen. It is not gonna happen. That building's gonna get tore down, and this is gonna be the moment you guys look back on like, oh, maybe we should have given it a chance. And you guys are the ones on council when this moment is here, so that's on your conscience, not mine. I've done everything I can from my angle.
I'll say that I'd be happy to support again if we had, a listing of funding priorities along with timelines, operational costs, assumptions, income cost assumptions, sort of that comprehensive financial business plan.
Yes, sir.
We can get creative with the property, right? If there's a strong financial backing component to it that has a pretty clear trajectory and timeline behind it.
I can contact some of our bigger financial backers, and maybe